led by Sidney Crosby. Let's take you back inside the news conference room.
And our final press conference, we're lucky to have 5 players attending this year's National Men's Team Orientation Camp, also 5 members of the 2010 Team Canada at the Olympic Games. À ce moment-ci, on vous présentera 5 joueurs qui participent au camp d'orientation de l'équipe nationale masculine, mais également membres de l'équipe médaillée d'or aux Jeux olympiques d'hiver de 2010 à Vancouver. So quickly introducing the players here today. To my immediate left, Rick Nash. To his left, Patrice Bergeron. To his left, Shea Weber, Roberto Luongo, and Sidney Crosby. At this time, we're going to open up the questions. I'd ask you to raise your hand high, be patient, and we'll get a microphone over to you for your question. Any questions? Could be a quick press conference. Dan over here, and then Gary.
I guess I'll sit. In the previous 2 press conferences, there's been a lot of discussion on the style of play as you change ice surfaces, essentially. Where are the biggest adjustments for a player when he goes from the NHL style, the NHL rink, to the international rink, and how difficult are they to just flip the switch and play it on that ice instead of on the NHL ice?
I don't think a lot changes. I think if anything, I guess the obvious answer is just the space out there. But other than that, I don't think you change a whole lot. I think that if anything, you have a little bit more time to make decisions, and things are typically a little bit slower. But I think for the most part, you try not to change too much.
Question from Martin here.
Ma question est pour Roberto Luongo. Roberto, dans le passé, tu as eu à déloger Roy, ensuite Brodeur. Est-ce que tu crois que tu as un job à perdre ou un job à gagner quand tu regardes la perspective d'être là pour les Jeux de Sochi, considérant que c'est toi qui étais là quand ils ont gagné la médaille d'or à Vancouver?
Je réponds en français ou...
Oui, s'il vous plaît.
Je pense que c'est open à tout le monde. Faut le mériter pour être là. Puis ça va dépendre des premiers mois de la saison. Fait que je pense pas que c'est un job à perdre ou à gagner. Je pense que c'est celui qui va le mériter le plus qui va être là.
Answer from Jason in the middle. Go ahead, Jason.
You want to answer that in English?
Yes, sir. You want the same question?
Yeah.
I think it's not anybody's job to win or lose. I think it's an open competition, and whoever plays best deserves to be the starter. That's the way I see it. You work hard, and you want to be rewarded for your efforts. And if I'm going to be there, I want to deserve it.
Mike suggested that he thinks you're better having gone through what you've been through for the past year. I'm wondering if you think that. Also, are you going to be happy this year in Vancouver, and do you think that matters?
That's a lot of questions. The first one, what was the first one again? Sorry.
Do you think Mike suggested that you're better having gone through the
listen, you go through stuff throughout your life, throughout your career, and you try to learn from them. You try to, right now I just want to play hockey. That's the bottom line. Doesn't matter where it is. I want to play hockey, and I'm happy to be starting again, and I want to focus on playing hockey and be ready.
And are you going to be happy in Vancouver, and does that matter one way or the other, do you think?
I don't think it matters. I think I just want to I'm happy to be playing and being a starter. I think that's what matters the most right now, and that's what I'm focused on. So at the end of the day, that's all you really need, right?
Okay, question to Mark, and if we can get the microphone over to this side. I know Pierre, Ryan, then I'll come back in front with Cam. So Mark?
For Roberto, Mark Stephen from CHQR Radio in Calgary here. He stole a lot of my questions just a moment ago, but I wanted to ask, how much of a bonus is it for you being in a hockey environment now after, an off-season of turmoil, speculation, et cetera, et cetera? You're in a hockey environment now. How refreshing is that for you?
You mean being here right now? Oh, yeah, it's great. I mean, it's nice to be around a lot of guys that we worked together 4 years ago, and unfortunately, we were not going to be going on the ice, which is a shame a little bit. But I think the fact that we're all getting together, it just gets the butterflies going and gets us excited for what's down the road here.
Pierre, and then we'll come to Cam. Pierre?
Rick, Pierre LeBrun from TSN and ESPN. You were in Torino and Vancouver, the highest of the highs in the second one, and a tough one in Torino. A lot of talk so far in these press conferences about the big ice, the international game, playing overseas compared to playing on this side. What are your experiences from experiencing two different kinds of results and the factors you think that were involved in that?
Yeah, for me, I like the big ice. I find it's not too much of a difference. I think me playing for Canada and with a lot of these guys that are at this camp, we've had success at both. But like Sid said, there's just small things. It's different angles. It's a bit more skating. You can drift to the outside a little more if you're not careful. But for me personally, I played a lot on the big ice, and I enjoy it.
Cam, and then Ryan over here.
Roberto, given the upheaval, let's say, for the last little while in your life, did you think at any point late season or even during the summer that you might have fallen off the radar for this team, or did you always know that it was going to come down to how you begin the next season?
A bit of both, I think. I was a backup last year, so you start to wonder certain things. But I obviously knew that the first half of this season is going to be really important. So that's what I kept telling myself in the back of my mind, and not to think too much about it, and that things would sort themselves out, and then have an opportunity to reestablish myself.
Question from Tim.
Patrice, how are you feeling now? You had a difficult end to your season health-wise.
Yeah, no, I'm feeling pretty good. I mean, I'm pretty much 95% to where I'd like to be, and took a little bit of time, I guess, to get back to feeling good and normal. But workouts, and I've been on the ice too, and everything's been going well. So I'm feeling pretty good. I'm confident that I'll be ready for camp and definitely ready for October.
Gary?
Gary Lawless for the Winnipeg Free Press. Sydney, for you. As members of the NHLPA, you have supported You Can Play, the anti-gay laws in Russia. There's been a lot of talk about that this summer. Have you as players discussed this, and do you support other gay athletes, and how do you feel about the whole situation?
Yeah, I mean, it's not something we've discussed a whole lot, but for me, growing up in Canada, my view has always been that way. I think that everyone has an equal right to play, and I think we've been, more than supportive of that. So, with the Olympics and kind of all the controversy around that, I think those decisions or those laws aren't necessarily something that, we might agree with. I don't agree with personally, but, their laws and their views, and everyone's entitled to those.
Ryan
Rishaug with TSN. Shea, I just wanted to hit you on the same topic because I know in the past you've done some PSA stuff with You Can Play. And just your thoughts on heading to a country where, it's very much a hot button topic, and where some believe that certain human rights are being violated in a certain way, and your thoughts on it, because you've spoken on this topic in the past.
Yeah, obviously the NHLPA and myself, we're trying to support that cause. And like Sydney said, the way that we're brought up, it's maybe different than the way the Russians view it, but we're going over there to play hockey, and obviously that's what we're going to try and focus on this year throughout our season, making the team, and then see what happens if we can go over there.
Paul Rivard.
Thank you. Rivard from TVA Sports. In French for Patrice Bergeron, please. Two quick answers in French, Patrice. First sur l'absence de possibilité de patiner et d'avoir des entraînements pendant ce camp d'orientation, et deuxièmement, relativement à la grandeur des patinoires, différence par rapport à 2010 et ensuite 2014.
Oui, c'est sûr, c'est décevant de ne pas pouvoir remarquer sur la glace durant les 4 jours ici à Calgary, mais je pense qu'on va être ici pour justement apprendre à connaître les joueurs qui sont ici. C'est toujours un honneur de pouvoir être ici, de pouvoir représenter le Canada. Donc, de juste être invité au camp, évidemment, c'est un grand honneur pour moi et pour tout le monde. Mais en même temps, je pense qu'on va avoir la chance de parler avec les dirigeants, aussi les entraîneurs, pour apprendre un petit peu plus le système. Puis c'est ce qui va nous aider aussi d'être plus prêts pour les prochains mois. Puis, pardon? Oui, par rapport à la différence des patinoires, je pense que ça reste quand même du hockey. Il faut juste jouer notre style et notre façon de jouer. Il ne faut pas essayer de changer trop et pas trop penser sur la glace. Puis il s'agit juste de peut-être un peu plus de... C'est plus large, c'est plus long, la glace est plus grande, donc il y a plus d'énergie qui peut se dépenser pour rien. Il faut juste être intelligent de la façon que tu joues. Puis, mais je pense que ça reste le même style de jeu.
I think we had a question. Do we have up front right here? No, we're good. Anyway, okay, Gene in the back here, and then Peter.
In Prince Bay with Sportsnet. Maybe a couple of you guys could answer the question about Ralph Kruger, who's an NHL coach that, Roberto, you would have seen a little more than some of the other players from Edmonton. But the concept of the Canadian contingent deciding to kind of hire a international expert, for lack of a better term, to help you guys understand the international ice. I wonder what a couple of you guys think about that move.
I think it's a great move. I think you want to get as much experience as you can, dealing with international ice and guys that have been there and been around the game over there and know styles of play and other team styles of play and what's successful and whatnot. So I think it's a really good move.
Yeah, I lived right beside Ralph in Davos, so I got to know him well playing in Switzerland twice, and what he did with that program, I think it speaks for itself. So it's good to have him on our side now.
We have Peter, Jay, and then Mark.
Peter Armstrong with CBC for Sydney. The fact that we're all here in the middle of August, you guys aren't even going on the ice, and there's this much scrutiny of every word that goes out, of every meeting you guys hold. Can you even put into words the amount of pressure that is on this group of people to perform on the international ice as you go into the new Olympics?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's something that we've grown used to, though. I think that's, whether it be from prior Hockey Canada experiences or directly with 2010. A lot of guys were part of that team here in Canada, hosting it. That's the most pressure I think I've ever felt as a hockey player. So having gone through that, I think will help us. But that's why we love the game. We love the passion that everyone has, and part of the pressure that comes with that. So I think that's something we're all used to dealing with.
Question, Jay, Mark, Pierre.
Roberto, how much will this help you hit the reset button back in Vancouver, and how different will Vancouver be for you this year, this training camp, than years past?
Well, it's good to be talking hockey again. Not talking about things that happen. It's good to start putting the focus on hockey. And like I said before, unfortunately, we're not going on the ice, but this is a good start. And because at the end of the day, that's all I want to do. I just want to play hockey, and I want to focus on that and really eliminate as many distractions as I can.
When you talked to James, you talked about the fact that you were in tears at the trade deadline, and also the possibility of voiding your contract, walking away from tens of millions of dollars. I guess the one question is, why would a person go through all of that? Why did you want out of Vancouver so bad?
Well, I think it's not that I wanted out of Vancouver so bad. I think, we all saw what happened over the course of the last few years. And I just felt that it was time to move on. So that was it.
Mark, sorry, microphone for Mark right here.
Mark Spector, Sportsnet. Sid, I don't know if you were watching the draft when New Jersey and Vancouver made that trade. What were your first thoughts when it happened? And as a guy that's, gone through a million different things in the game, when Roberto talks about getting through distractions, and he's got a pretty full mental plate at this point, what does a professional like yourself do to deal with all those distractions and get out of the way?
Yes, Sid, what do you do?
Well, I was pretty surprised, I think, as were a lot of people, but it's just something I think as a professional you have to deal with, and there's no real way to teach that. I think it's experience, and we all go through different things, and you can relate to certain situations. I can't relate to the situation at all, but I can relate to dealing with adversity and learning from it. And at the end of the day, it's hard to see it at the time, but eventually you are better off for going through it. So I'm sure that's the case here, and I feel for having to answer these questions, midsummer and answer about this. It's not something I'm sure he wants to talk about, but that's the position we're in as hockey players, and we have to deal with it.
Pierre?
Sydney, I know you're a student of the history of the game, and when you think back of the Russia-Canada rivalry, the opportunity for Canada to win a gold medal in that country, going back to the the knowledge of the 72 Summit Series. How you'd probably be just as happy to win this tournament on the moon, but what kind of element does that add to it that it is in Russia, such a big rival for Canada?
Yeah, it certainly does. I mean, I can remember being 15 at Shattuck, and J.P. Parisi was the head of the hockey director there, and I can remember some of the stories he would tell, and always kind of wondering if I'd ever have the chance to maybe play in Russia, and up to this point I haven't. So to have that opportunity to know that the history's there and to be part of that would be definitely very special. So something that we're all well aware of and want to make happen.
Thank you. Question from Martin.
Patrice, je me permets de te poser la même question en français. Qu'est-ce que ça représenterait pour vous autres, après avoir gagné au Canada une médaille d'or, d'aller gagner une médaille d'or sur le terrain des Russes?
C'est sûr, je pense que ça serait quelque chose de gros, mais je pense que ça, peu importe, quelque chose qui va être gravé dans ma mémoire pour toujours. Puis évidemment, d'avoir fait en sol canadien, c'est quelque chose d'encore plus mémorable, mais peu importe tout ce que c'est dans le monde, je pense que c'est le plus gros événement sportif, tout sport confondu. Puis évidemment, de faire partie de ça seulement est un grand exploit, donc de le remporter, c'est quelque chose de mémorable.
I don't think there's any more questions, so I'd like to thank everyone. Thanks to our players for joining us, all members of the media, and have a good evening. Merci à tous. Bonne soirée.